Welcome back to the series turning £1,000 into £10,000. In the last video you saw that we bought not one but two Subaru Impreza Turbos for £4,000. Looks like a bargain, we're going to find out today. So one of them has actually got a blown engine. Right, I'm not going to run this one for long. And one of them's got a blown clutch. Now I purchased these as a pair, and that's because the person selling it had the intention of putting the engine from the blue one into the red one. But I kind of thought I wanted to keep both of them on the road and make profit on them both. But it depends what the blue one is like underneath. But I've recently found out that the engine from the blue one won't even fit in the red one anyway, because it's a total different generation of engine. So it better be good underneath. Let's pull it inside and see how bad it is underneath. But before we crack on with the Subaru, the Focus has just been fully detailed, fully cleaned, and it's looking amazing. And we actually had the seats all, steam cleaned? Steam clean and wet vac. We've had the seats steam cleaned, and the seats are done, and it looks unbelievably nicer now. I'm actually going to drive it around for a couple of days, but this means that the Focus can actually go for sale now. So we've just took some pictures of the Focus and I'm going to be putting it for sale tonight. But it's just one more thing I want to do before actually putting it for sale, and that's just make sure everything is fully good before the new owner takes it. So here is a walk round of the Focus, all cleaned, all beautiful, looking really nice. This paint is actually really good. Super nice and clean inside now as well. All the seats have been steam cleaned, ready for whoever wants to be parking their new little bottom in here. But there's just one more thing that I want to do before we actually put this for sale, and I want to make sure it's nice and healthy for the next owner, and we're going to do that with Carly. Now Carly is an OBD scanner, and it's like a little mobile mechanic that you can take everywhere. I've actually got 4 of these. I've got one in each car. Carly just isn't like your normal OBD scanner. You can actually do some really high-tech stuff on this. You can actually do live data, coding, and hot functions as well, which a lot of OBD scanners can't do. You usually have to buy the big one to do that. Gearbox adaptations and turn off your handbrake, things like that, little things like that. But we're just going to do a final check of the car with Carly to make sure there's no engine lights. We're going to look and just make sure everything's running okay, so we can put it for sale and we've got a peace of mind. So it's super simple. All you've got to do is just plug it into your OBD2 port, turn your ignition on and find your vehicle. Now with Carly you can do diagnostics, use car check, live data and even coding. So it's amazing if you just want to read the car or if you actually want to find a problem yourself as well. So right now we're just doing a diagnostic check, and it's going to check every single ECU on the car available. That's your ABS, gearbox, any body control modules and engine ECUs and everything else. It's coming with one problem, it's an audio control module, so it even scans things on the radio. It's actually coming with the antenna circuit open. And I think that's because there's no antenna screwed in. I literally noticed that a minute ago, there's no radio antenna screwed in. So right now the radio probably won't work, but other than that, everything else is really good with the car. So I'm happy to put this for sale, and let's get into the Subaru and let's see how bad this is going to be. Carly users save around £2,000 a year on repair costs. So if you want a little portable OBD tool that works like a very expensive scanner, there'll be some links on the screen now, and that'll get you some discounts with Carly. But for now, let's get on to the Subaru. So we are back. Try and ignore that compressor noise. I've been waiting for it to shut the hell up for about 5 minutes, and it's not shutting the hell up. So we're just cracking on. Try please to ignore it. But in the last episode, you would have seen that we bought the 2 Subarus for £4,000. One had a blown clutch and one had a blown engine. Now we brought the first one in. This is the one with a blown clutch. And this is one that's currently actually got no MOT as well. I said what we're going to do relies on the condition of this Subaru. Now first examination doesn't look too good because both of the rear arches are gone and they're rotten through. But when you look under the engine bay, things that would usually be crap are actually quite good. Now this Subaru actually has 0 advisories for rust on the MOT, which is really good. And when you actually look, things like the battery tray is usually rotten, and definitely the bottom radiator support cradle, that's usually rotten as well. And on this one, they're actually both in really good condition. All the strut towers are really good, so in first impressions under the engine bay actually looks really good. It's just weird why both of the arches have gone. Now the deciding factor on what we do is going to be what this Subaru is like underneath. If this one is good underneath, we're actually going to fix this one up sell this one, and then go on to the red one. Now this needs a clutch. It's almost impossible to get in here on the ramp. It's so bad, it stinks when you drive it. The clutch is definitely gone. And it definitely needs some new rear arches welding, which I've never done, but it could be good fun. Before we do anything else, we're going to get this Scooby up in the air, and I am absolutely shizing my pants at the minute because you don't hear good things about these Subarus. Okay, so I've just gone over the Subaru for around 5 minutes, and I've looked everywhere where would be a problem on this car. So let's do a little bit of a walkthrough, and let's go all under the car and show you exactly what's wrong with it. I've not checked any bushes or anything because that's not really that important. So we're going to start at the front of the car. Now this is the radiator cradle, radiator support. This is very common for being crap. It's not a huge deal, but this one is in really good condition. The one on the red one, I can't say the same for. The one on the red one is not that good. So we're going to come around to the engine. We've got an oil leak on each side, and it looks like it's coming from, I believe this would be the equivalent of the rocker cover. We've got a leak up there. This one's actually pretty bad. And on the other side, as you can see, we've got another leak on the rocker cover again, which a little bit of a pain, but do the spark plugs and stuff on these, they get a bad reputation, but they're not actually that bad. So we've got an oil leak on each side of the rocker cover. Coming down to the arms are in okay condition again. Everything's quite rusty, it looks quite surface rusty. If you put a 2015 Ford Focus up on the ramp, it's gonna look like this. So we're not bothered about arms and ball joints and stuff like that. I'll show you what we are bothered about when we come to it. So again, the arms don't look in the best condition, but they're fine. Now the important parts of the car are things like this, the chassis rail and the sills over there. So as you can see, there's absolute zero rust around the chassis rail here. I'm gonna follow it down, zero on that side. Again, it's starting to get a little bit cruddy here, but it's absolutely solid. So I'm gonna use this. This is just a big screwdriver. I've seen the tools that the MOT station use for testing, you know, hitting panels and seeing if it goes through. And it is nowhere near as aggressive as a screwdriver. It's literally like a plastic hammer. If they hit that and it'll go through metal, they're gonna fail it on rust. So this is more aggressive. So if I'm doing this, that means it's absolutely solid. So the front sill, the bad places as well will be on the jacking places of the sill. So this would usually be a bad bit. As you can see, it looks cruddy, but there's no holes. It's solid, and it's actually still one piece of metal. It's not even like split, which is good. So that side's good. This side jacking point is good as well. Again, it's flattened out from where someone's been jacking up on it, but other than that, it's really good. The floor of the car, there's absolutely zero rust down the center of the floor of the car, which is good. So you can see where someone's jacked up in the wrong place here, but not bad. Now, all down the sill, down here, is really good as well. Absolutely zero rust down the side of the sill on the driver's side, and absolutely zero rust down the side of the sill on the passenger side. Now the back of the car does get a little bit worse, so let's start at the back underneath. So again, this looks bad. Subframe, it's going to be rotten. This is a over 25-year-old car. Again, if you put most cars up, they're going to look like this. Subframes aren't the problem. We can replace them. It's not a big deal. It's fine. That's solid metal. Like if it's to rot through a subframe, you've got some good doing. So let's start on this side. Again, very important. The rear chassis legs, very, very important thing. This is where a lot of the jack cars go as well. So you've got the rear chassis leg there and the rear chassis leg up here. Now, it looks pretty bad. I'm not gonna lie, it does. But solid on the side, solid on the solid on the bottom, solid on the side, which is good news. So clean up, and that's sound. Same again on this side. Doesn't look as bad, but solid. Now we've got a hole here. But this is basically just part of the lower floor. It's not a big deal. We can easily cut that out and put a plate in there. That's not a big deal. Another thing, subframe mounting points. So where the subframe mounts to the chassis, this is also a pretty bad spot. Where you can see on this one, it's absolutely fine, absolutely solid. You can't even see any rust. Front part of the chassis leg as well is absolutely fine. Passenger side, or driver's side, sorry, again, Chassis rail, absolutely fine. Subframe mounting points, absolutely fine. Looks a bit rotten up here, but it's absolutely solid, so we'll clean that up. Rear sills, again, another bad bit where people jack up the car from the back. This one has gone, so the rear sill has gone, you can see. So this is what I mean. So when you're jabbing and you're doing that and you're putting, you see metal moving, that's gone. You can actually see a hole there as well. That looks bad, but that's actually fixable. We can actually weld some plates in there and that's fixable. And the rear passenger side is fine as well. Again, a little bit bent up from where people have been jacking it up, but it's absolutely solid as well. And the rest of the car is actually really good. So there's a few bad bits, but overall, this is definitely savable. We need to do a plate over here in that hole, and we need to weld in a bit of a new sill on the back over here. Again, we might find some more damage when we're taking it apart, but overall, this is actually a good car, and I'm happy to fix this up, change the clutch, and sell this. Definitely. I thought it'd be all rotten around here, and definitely on the subframe mounts over there. I thought it'd be all gone through, but it's actually pretty good, and this is just making me a little bit worried about the red one. And someone has took some time in this, so we've got new brake lines, new braided brake lines on the back, new ABS sensors, again, both sides, brake lines, ABS sensors. The hard lines for the brakes are actually in good condition as well. They're all good condition, they're not rotten through, they're actually really good, you can see them up there. So right now our biggest issue is this. This is the rear sill on the driver's side, which is pretty bad, but we're gonna give it a go. So let's just go around each wheel and let's have a bit of a play and see if anything needs doing on the suspension side of things. So that one is good, so we've got no issues with the ball joints, no issues with any steering components, anything like that, so this wheel's good. We have got a burst shock on this side. You can literally see the shock is not shocking. Rear left is fine. We've got a little bit of side-to-side play on the front left. It's probably like a trap rod or potentially like a wheel bearing or something. So overall, again, not that bad. So we're going to come to the whiteboard and see if it's cost effective. So I bought both Subarus for £4,000. So let's say this blue one's probably worth 1,500 quid and the other one's probably owes me 2.5. I reckon that would be fair because the other one is a lot more expensive. So I mean, that's top end realistically. Realistically, the other one's 3 and this one's £1,000. So let's just do 15 because I feel like that kind of is fair really. So the car costs 1,500 quid, okay? So the repair panels cost 100 quid, so that's for the rear arches. We're going to get a rear shock for around, I reckon I'll be able to get one for about 30 quid. They're about 50 quid on eBay for a decent one. I'll be able to get one on Facebook for 30 quid, no problem. So we can get a clutch kit for around £100. That's the release bearing and the pressure plate and the clutch, 100 quid. We're going to have to put an MOT on the car at the end, 40 quid. And let's just say miscellaneous stuff will probably come to around 200, worst case, I reckon. 15, 16, 17, 19, let's say £2,000 all in, 2k all in. Now, we're going to need a little bit of paint as well, but I'm pretty sure my mate Kuba will come and help us out. So let's just say 2 to 2.5, worst case, okay? Now these cars are probably selling 3 and 4 depending on the condition. So say if we make 2.5 and we sell it for 3.5, there's going to be £1,000 profit. So I think that's worth it if we're going to get some content as well. So let's do it. So let's start on the journey of repairing, I don't want to say restoring, but well maybe, let's see, this Subaru Impreza blue one. Here we go. So I'm just jacking the car up and taking the side skirt off to get a real good look at this sill on this side. So the damage comes to about here, so it's about 12 inches or so. It's nice and solid at the back, which is good. So we've got something to weld to. is that we could actually just get a sill repair as well. So good thing is that these Subarus are really renowned for rusting. So you can get like replacement panels from quite a lot of different places. So we can actually just get a replacement sill. I think it's like 40 quid. And all we'll do then is this, we won't do it all the way along because we don't need to, but we just chop it where we need to and then weld it in and patch it in. I've never done anything like this before, but why not, right? The car is going to be worth a lot of more money with these stickers off. And what I'm really worried about is the stickers actually peeling off the paint or leaving a constant mark on the paint, you know. So I don't know how long they've been on for. The fact that they were probably yellow, now they're green, is a good indicator of they've been on for a long fucking time. So we're going to take off one sticker, see if it peels the lacquer, and see if it leaves any marks. And if it does leave any marks, will a polish get it out? Because I don't want to take all the stickers off the car. I actually think it's... this is the thing. Is it better with marks of stickers, or is it better with old stickers on? I'm not quite sure. So we're going to see how bad this one looks. We're going to do a few different stickers over the car. So let's take this one off and see what it's like underneath. Now this is the big question. Is the car going to look better with all these shit stickers on, or with some potential lacquer peel where the stickers used to be? So we're going to use this as a bit of an assessment to how bad it looks underneath the stickers. Now this is just a bit of like alcohol. It's not even like tar and glue, so it's not really going to get much of it off. But it will get some of the residue off, and you actually can't really see that sticker. So with a polish, that's going to come up really good, to be fair. You can barely see the sticker, so as soon as I get a polish over that, it's going to look really nice. So let's just go for it. Okay, maybe not, let's not do the big one. Let's try these little ones first and see if they leave any marks. We tried two different panels then. Clearly the stickers have been put on at the same time, and it's going to be the same vinyl that's been used. So let's just try one on the wing just to make sure that just wasn't a one-off, and then let's try and send it and get all these stickers off. It's going to take ages, but I think it's going to massively increase the value of the car without these stickers on. Now I have no doubt that this will take absolutely ages, and there's definitely going to be some glue left over, which is also going to take me ages, but it's all in all a day's work, and I think it will make the car look 10 times nicer. So the paint underneath was actually okay. You could see a bit of an outline of the sticker of obviously where the sun has not been hitting the paint underneath, but I think it's good enough risk, so we're just going to go for it. So all in all, getting these stickers off probably took me around 3 hours, and that's just getting the stickers off, never mind the glue. Now my new Einhell drill took an absolute battering doing all this, but she loves it. Einhell, you are the best, love you. So apart from having shit all over the floor, which I'm now going to have to clean up, the car is actually looking... Well, I'm going to say looking better, but it's not looking as like a pile of shit as it was. Now, I'm probably guessing that on camera it actually looks quite good. I'm glad it does, because in person, it definitely doesn't. There is glue all over the car, and not only that, there's some bits which I'm pretty sure you're still going to be able to see where the stickers, like, you know, changed colour of the paint. Obviously, these stickers, you'll have the sticker that's basically hiding the paint underneath, and the rest of the paint gets a lot of sunlight, and it darkens or it brightens up, and then you take the sticker off, and you can see the outline of the sticker. Now, lights like this, like LED lights, are going to make that look 10 times worse, but I've actually polished this C-pillar, and it's come out looking really nice, but it's almost like it's got like tattoos of some stickers in the paint. Now, I don't know if you're going to be able to see them when you're outside, because you probably can't even see them on camera right now, but it's right under this LED light, and I can see that. I mean, it actually looks quite cool, to be fair, but it's good to know that this has actually come up nice and fresh. But the lacquer peel. The thing is, though, this panel is where the new arch is going to go, and that's going to get painted over, so we could ask them just to blend it up there, and obviously do this. The thing is with that is that there's going to be imperfections on every single panel, and how far do you go until it's just a full bloody respray? We definitely don't want to be doing that unless Cooper wants to, but I know he's not. He's going to be watching this. Cooper, I'm gonna pull the friend card with these cars, mate. And I'm sorry, you can't say, oh, I'm free in May. Nope. I'm going to give you a week notice and you're going to have to help me out. You're my best mate and I'm pulling the friend card, so you've got no choice. So I'm bored of doing the paint and the stickers, so let's start addressing the biggest things on the car. Let's get the welder out, let's get the screwdriver out, and let's really see how bad this rust is. So we need to address this hole here. So what we're going to do is we're going to get a grinder and we're going to just grind away until we get nice metal, really. So I've got a flapping wheel. I'm just going to go up and see how far the rust goes and then do the same this way and the same that way, and then we can start making some plates. Now the thing is with rust, what you can see is definitely not all of it, and as you can see, the more we're going up, the hole is slowly getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Now you're going to want to cut a nice smooth bit so you can easily put a plate in, and you always want to go a lot further than you think. But trying to cut smoothly when you're underneath a car like this is harder than it looks. So it is going back further than I initially anticipated. I am cutting more and more metal off, so we're going to have to I'm going to have to take the rear bumper off because it's almost going through to the other skin almost. So I've got the outer skin and then the inner skin, which I was cutting here. So that's cutting off, and the outer skin's a bit bad as well. So a bit annoying, but we're going to take the bumper off and we'll be able to see that outer skin there. Again, this isn't really structural. This isn't structural at all, this bit. It's just making it tidy. Obviously, it just looks terrible when you've got a big hole like that underneath it. So again, this only, like the metal is like half a mil, maybe 0.6 of a mil. So it's like stupidly thin metal. I can literally bend it with my hand. So again, it's not that important to get it absolutely spot on, structurally perfect. But we're going to take the bumper off somehow. I have to get it off. We're going to take the bumper off, and hopefully we'll get a bit more of a better view. Now, I always say taking bumpers off cars is one of the worst jobs you can do, and this car is definitely reiterating that fact. Aha! And now we can get to these little clips. Wait, what? Is another one? No, surely not. Surely there's a different way this comes off. Yeah, nah, because where the f does it unbolt from? So I think it's like slid through the chassis leg, and there's 3 big bolts here that go through the chassis leg, and I think it must just like slide out of the bracket. Oh Jesus Christ, this does not feel good. This does not feel good. Tightening, trying to free it up, but this does not feel good, guys. Now, I really did not want to snap them bolts, so I've covered them in WD-40, and we're going to turn our attention to the arch. We're going to cut this off and just see how bad it is. I'm more than expecting the inner arch to have gone a little bit as well, but fuck it, why not? Now luckily that actually isn't that bad. It's only this little bit here. The arch that I've got comes all the way down here, all the way over, and all the way down to this bit here as well. Now luckily these bits actually do go quite bad on Subarus, and this bit's absolutely fine. And not that much of the inner arch has gone either. So what it would literally be is a case of welding the inner arch, welding the outer arch on, literally just this little gap. We're not going to do the whole thing, we're just going to cut off and just weld it in here, and then it would just be the case of getting in the back and just making a little bit of a plate, because there's only a little bit of the inner arch that has gone here. So once the bumper's off, I'm struggling to get it off at the minute because the bolts are so tight in there, but it's just be the case of literally just patching it in underneath, which again wouldn't really be that bad. Got a little bit of shit bit here, but it's nothing that we can't put some plates over and do ourselves. So it is the next morning. I've left the bolts overnight soaking in WD-40 and now I'm coming to get them off. I am still really worried about them snapping, so I am taking my time, just going them back and forth, because my plan is to not snap one single bolt on the Subaru. That will make me feel good about myself. Even with them bolts off, it's still not budging. So there's actually 3 massive bolts going through the chassis leg on the driver's side, and there's 4 big bolts going through the chassis leg on the passenger side, 2 of which are hidden by the exhaust hanger, so you've got to take that off. Oh, you're bloody joking me. Right. Nice. Thank God. Oh. Now I can see the other side of that panel, so this is rotten here. So we're going to cut it up here to this line and hope that that's solid there. And then we can join them together quite easily, to be fair. We put a plate flat and then a plate up the other side. So let's start cutting this back and see how far this goes. So once you've got the main shape and the main piece of metal cut out with the grinder, get a flapping disc and you want to just flap back all the metal around. This is for 2 reasons. 1, to make sure it's solid, and 2, so you've got something clean to weld to. Now you need to now make a plate from a bit of metal which is going to sit in that gap that you can weld into the gap. Now I like to use a bit of piece of paper, as you can kind of just bend it around nice and easy, and you can push your finger into the edges and you can get somewhat of the right shape. And then once you've got the right shape, you want to cut it out from a piece of metal, trying to match the same thickness as the metal already on the car. So this is some steel plate, and it's actually off my E30 roof. So it's actually painted on one side as well, which will be pretty good because obviously it's just a little bit more rust resistant from inside. But this is probably around 0.6 of a mil. I've got some 1 mil thick that's just way too thick. This metal is like half a mil, really thin metal, which is probably why they rust so easy. So this is roughly the same. This is quite malleable. So we've got it roughly the right shape. Roughly the right shape. So it's something like this, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to weld the bits that sit flat, and then we're just going to work round the bits up there, and then once that's welded we can pull it straight, weld it down there, pull it straight. So it doesn't have to be you're never going to get a perfect bend off the car. So we're going to start welding. So this bit here looks great. So we're going to weld along here, and then we're going to tap this metal back to go on that line, and then bring it forward to come down this line, then bring it forward to come around this line, and then we're going to shape it across the bottom. So again, I'm not a professional body shop, and they're not going to make this like a restoration. It's just going to be structurally sound, and it's going to look halfly decent. And the thing is, again, we're not here to this series about making it perfect. It's here to make it better. And the whole point of like welding things in is so it's structurally sound. That's the whole point of it. So I'm going to tack it in place first and foremost using the technique that I just did a minute ago, and oh my god, this metal on this car was an absolute nightmare. It is so thin and so crap. I've heard bad things about Subaru metal, but oh my god, it was horrendous to weld with. So as you can see, we're just making a tack and then bending it up to the next tack and then doing another tack and just working our way along. The good thing about using metal which is like this thin is that it can just bend and you can just put it into the shape on the car. Now I'd be lying if I said I was happy with the welds, and I'd be lying if I said this wasn't an absolute nightmare. I either blew through the holes or the welds were just stacking up on top of each other looking like shit. It was honestly so hard to do this, but luckily you can get a flattening disc and you can flat down the welds and make it nice and smooth. Now I did have to go through this process quite a lot of times because it was so hard to weld to that every time I ground it down I kept seeing little pinholes. So I had to keep going back and welding over those pinholes and then grinding it back again. So that's the shape of the outer skin done. It follows the line really well of the car, and I'm actually quite happy with how that side's come out. So we've got to do the inner now. Now we did the exact same approach with the inner skin. So I got a piece of paper, made a rough template and then cut it out of metal. And then from there you can make the fine adjustments just with a flapping disc as it's in your hand underneath the car. That's what's good about when you're using metal this thin, even though it's not good when you're trying to weld it. And then just do the exact same thing really, just tack one bit and then just use a hammer on like a chisel or just like an extension and just keep knocking it in, and you can just shape it as you go around. So I'm going to leave it like this and seam seal it. I can't flat down every single bit of weld, especially can't flatten down in the middle, but that is a solid piece. I've welded it at the bottom now, so it's all one piece. I can't flat down every bit of weld underneath there because it's just too hard in to get in with a grinder, but I'm decently happy with that. So we're going to seam seal it and then under seal it as well. So I've covered it up with a layer of seam sealer. This will just fill in all the little pinholes that might not have got through with the weld. I could have brushed it on and made it look factory, but you're never going to see this part. So I've just rubbed it in really nice and easily. And then we're going to coat the whole thing in under seal, and that's just going to properly seal everything up and stop it again from rusting. And then this is the finished product. And it actually doesn't look that bad, to be honest. Nice. Okay, so I'm not gonna lie, that was pretty difficult. The metal was just so shit, it's so thin. BD Performance just ran me and said, oh yeah, we used to, they was like, I said, I've got to go because I'm welding this Subaru. They said, oh, how are you getting on? They said, yeah, we actually used to, you know, restore these old classics. And they said the metal that they use on this is absolutely shocking. So I'm glad that I'm not the only one that's having a rough time. But I'm glad that we did that bit first, because that was, when I say the hardest bit, that was a bit that we had to just fully make ourselves and do ourselves. And also that was a bit that you can't see at all. So it was good to kind of get used to the metal a little bit and see how difficult it was, and mess around with the welder and get the best setting I felt like, which I still never really fully got at the end. So the next thing we got to do now is we need to do this sill and the two rear arches. I am worried about the rear arches because obviously you can see them. Sill is probably the worst bit of rust, but we've got an actual replacement part going on it. So, and again, you can't see it because the side skirt covers it, so it doesn't have to be perfect. But I'm actually quite happy with how that came out. I wasn't when I could see like all the welds, but like now it's seam sealed and coated. It actually looks pretty good, I'm not gonna lie. So I'll be happy with that. So the next thing we're gonna do on the Scooby is we're gonna start cutting that sill apart and seeing exactly how bad it is. I'm actually quite pleased with how the other thing come out, so it's giving me a little bit of confidence going forward onto the sill. We haven't actually ordered the sills yet. I wanted to just double make sure that we was going ahead with fixing this up, and it was kind of waiting on the outcome of that welding there and if I found anything else. We are going to clean up the chassis legs in a minute as well and under seal those, again just to make sure that there's no rust on them. But I have got some glue and tar remover, so I want to remove all the glue left over from the stickers and see how bad the imprint is of the old stickers. So from what I've gathered so far, the stickers on the bottom of the car, which didn't really get too much sunlight, look okay. And the stickers, as you go further up the car, are leaving more of a mark. But we're going to have to see what it looks like when we pull it outside in natural daylight. Now this glue and tar remover basically did nothing, so I did end up resorting to the caramel wheel, the toffee wheel again. When the door was clean, I actually wanted to use the DA and just use a compound. So I'm just using Maguire's compound at the minute. It's nothing too abrasive, but I just wanted to see how the paint would come up after a base level of compound. So I've only done the door on the right, and it actually looks really, really, really good. It's a shame that there's quite a lot of lacquer peel on the other panels. I think the whole car would come up quite well, actually, but it still looks pretty good, to be fair. We're going to take off the sill. We're going to start cutting up the sill and seeing how bad it is. So first of all, I'm going to take the wheel off, and luckily, it came with the lock and wheel nut. So what an absolute bargain. £4 grand, way worth it. Let's get these wheels off. Now, I've never done anything like this in my life, and right now when I'm looking at it like this, I don't know where to even start. So I'm just trying to get rid of all of the metal that looks brown and rusty, and then just assess from there, and don't try to overthink it. And again, once you think you've removed all of the rust, start cleaning the metal around and just make sure that it's shiny, solid metal. And it actually looks like I've got off the extent of the rust. Okay, so I've chopped away all of the bad metal, and this is where we're left. Now, I've never done any sill repair work, and I remember some people saying, "Oh, if the inner sill's gone, that's not going to be good." So I believe the inner sill is this layer and this layer. Luckily, it's okay down there, so we're going to see. So we have 3 layers. We've got this layer, and the outer layer. So I'm guessing this is the inner sill, middle sill, outer sill. I'm not quite sure, but you've got 3 layers. So you can see what happens here. You've got this sill which comes round. This sill comes straight down, and the outer sill comes round and joins them both. So you've got 3 layers of metal in there. See them? And that's why it's actually probably strong to jack up on, because you've got 3 big layers. So unfortunately, some of it has gone. So down here is fine. Some of it up here is gone, and the middle skin's gone most of the way, and most of the outer skin's gone. This is all the outer skin. So I'm pretty sure when we get this sill replacement, that's going to give us the outer skin. I don't think it's going to give us the middle skin or the inner skin. I don't think it's going to do it. I think it's just going to give us the outer. So we can chop this here and we can put the outer sill in, but we're going to have to build up the inner skin. So we're going to have to weld a bit of metal from here coming round. And then we're going to have to put another bit of metal going straight down. That's going to give us the strength. And then the outer sill can just go on top like that. I'm not sure how they're joined together. I'm not sure maybe they're pinch welded, or I'm not quite sure how they're joined together, but we can figure something out. Hello? But I'm going to go back and have a look at the pictures, and well, I'm going to order that outer skin. We're going to do it. Why not? We're going to do it, because also another big thing is that I found out that this engine won't even go in my red one. So that's not even an option anyway. So we may as well fix it up. And we've already done most of the job, and we get to learn some welding while we're at it. So I'm going to go away and I'm going to order the rear arches and the rear sills, the sills. And in the next video, we're hopefully going to have the Subaru in a much better state than it is today. So yeah, we're going to put both back on the road. I think that's the majority of what people said in the comments as well. Of course we're going to do that. If we could, I would have done that. Obviously, these are getting old and rare now, and it would be a shame to scrap it for realistically not much welding. So yeah, we'll see you in the next episode when we've got the sills. Or the next episode, we might pull the red one in and start doing that. But also, we've got to do a clutch on this, and we've got to do rock cover gaskets. So we are going to be pulling the engine out of the Subaru, because a lot of people said that it's actually easy doing the clutch, just taking the engine out. And when we got to do the rocker cover gaskets as well, they're right this side of the engine, and it'll just be a pain. So we're going to take the engine out of this one, fix this one, new clutch, put it back in, and then get the engine out of another one, and then put another engine back in the red one. So I'm going to be a Subaru genius by the end of this, lad. So we'll see you in the next one.